All right, well, from one of our favorite movies to one of my new favorite books, it's got to rank up there with every parent's worst nightmare. Your child goes missing while traveling in a foreign country. You're at home trying to figure out where they are and what's happening. Well, that's exactly where author Fiona Barton starts her new novel, The Suspect. It follows two 18-year-old women who go missing in Thailand and reporter Kate Waters, who is covering the story. Fans might remember that reporter from Barton's debut bestseller, The Widow. Well, Kate is back, and Fiona Barton is too. She's right here this morning to fill us in. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So I devoured this book on the weekend. Anyone who's read any of your other books will remember Kate Waters, who's from The Widow and The Child as well. She's in this book too, but this time she goes from covering the story as a reporter to becoming personally invested. So I know you can't give too much away, but set this up for us a little bit. Two 18-year-old women go to Thailand, then what happens?
They're on a gap year. They finished school and they're about to go to university. And like a lot of young people in the UK, they decide they're going to go travelling for a bit before they get back on with their studies. So off they go, and they go missing fairly quickly, really, in Bangkok. And Kate Waters is put on the story. Quite early on in the book, bodies turn up in Bangkok, and so she flies out there, and she's secretly very pleased to be going because her own son, Jake, dropped out of university and went to find himself in Thailand a couple of years before and has been very sporadic in keeping in touch, and she's hoping that she will have the chance to go and find him and persuade him to come home.
Oh, well, that was a perfect tease of the book. I mean, the way the storylines come together is just, you can't put it down. Another big aspect of the book is social media and how it plays into the storyline. So, you know, things sort of not really being what they seem, especially with one of the characters kind of saying, like, this is the best trip ever. We obviously find out it's not. And that what she's posting online doesn't match what's happening in her life. So tell me about why you decided to use social media this way in the book.
Well, I used to train journalists, and so I had a lot to do with using social media, not just as a staying in touch tool. So I became fascinated with the disconnect between what people were posting and what was really going on. Alex, one of the girls who goes to Thailand, is posting, you know, that she's living the dream, it's the best trip ever, and funny little anecdotes about what's happening in Bangkok. But we hear in the emails that she sends to her best friend back home what's really going on. And I think there's a lot of that, excuse me, where we have avatars, we have another face in public to the one that we have in private. And with social media, I think so much information is out there, we have much more to hide, really. And I think that's really playing with young people's minds significantly.
It really also made the book feel sort of very current and happening right now because this is such a now issue. When you are sitting down to write a book like this, where do you start? Do you start with the crime, the characters? What's your process like?
With this one, it was very much with Kate because I wanted to turn the tables on her. I wanted her to see what it was like to be the other side of the media. So she becomes the story during the book. So I had that very much in mind. And she's a character, I say we don't share DNA, but we know each other very well. I was a journalist for 30 years, so I've been everywhere she goes, although I haven't been the other side of the media. I suppose I am now.
Yes, that's right, yes.
But not as a journalist. But anyway, so I had her, and I used my son, who is now in his 30s, and won't thank me for telling you this. He went on a gap year when he was 18 to Vietnam, and he was terrible at staying in touch. And weeks would go by and we wouldn't hear anything. And I took that fear that I had then, you know, when I would be lying in bed thinking, he's in a ditch, you know, I'm never going to see him again. And I've infected Kate and Leslie, the mother who tells her story in the book, with that fear.
Well, the characters are compelling, and for anyone who's a fan of crime fiction, I'm sure they'll want to pick this up. So, The Suspect, if you're looking for it, by Fiona Barton, her latest story. Again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
All right.